Watchet is a harbour town, civil parish and electoral ward in the English county of Somerset, with a population of 3,785. It is situated 15 miles west of Bridgwater, 15 miles northwest of Taunton, and 9 miles east of Minehead. The parish includes the hamlet of Beggearn Huish. The town lies at the mouth of the Washford River on Bridgwater Bay, part of the Bristol Channel, and on the edge of Exmoor National Park. The original settlement may have been at the Iron Age Fort Dawes Castle. It then moved to the mouth of the river and a small harbour developed, which was attacked by Vikings in the 10th century. Trade using the harbour gradually grew, despite damage during several severe storms, with import and exports of goods, including those from Wandsborough paper mill, until the 19th century, when it increased with the export of iron ore, brought from the Brandon Hills via the West Somerset Mineral Railway, mainly to Newport for onward transportation to the Ebbw Vale Steelworks. The West Somerset Railway also served the town and port, bringing goods and people from the Bristol and Exeter Railway. The iron ore trade reduced and ceased in the early 20th century. The port continued a smaller commercial trade until 2000, when it was converted into a marina. The church is dedicated to St. Decuman, who is thought to have died here around 706. An early church was built near Dawes Castle, and a new church was erected in the 15th century. It has several tombs and monuments to Sir John Wyndham and his family, who were the lords of the manor. Samuel Taylor Coleridge's poem The Rime of the Ancient Mariner, which was written in the area, is commemorated by a statue on the harbour side. History. Dawes Castle is an Iron Age sea cliff hill fort about 0.5 miles to the west of the town. It was built and fortified on the site of an earlier settlement, as a burh, by Alfred the Great, as part of his defence against Viking raids from the Bristol Channel around 878 AD. It is situated on an east-west cliff about 80 metres above the sea, on a tapering spur of land bounded by the Washford River to the south. Its ramparts would have formed a semicircle backing onto the sheer cliffs, but only about 300 metres are visible today. A Saxon mint was established here in 1035, probably within the fort. It is a scheduled monument. There is no sign of Roman occupation, but the Anglo-Saxons took Watchet from the native Britons around AD 680. Under Alfred the Great, Watchet became an important port, and coins minted here have been found as far away as Copenhagen and Stockholm. The Anglo-Saxon Chronicle records the early port being plundered by Danes led by Earl Ottir and Erold in 987 and 997. Watchet is believed to be the place where St. Decuman was killed around 706, and its parish church is dedicated to him. At the time of the Domesday Book, Watchet was part of the estate held by William de Moyon. The parish of Watchet was in the Willerton and Freemanners Hundred in the Middle Ages, with access to wood from the Quantock Hills. Records show that paper making was established by 1652. In the 15th century, a flour mill was established by the Fulford and Hadley families near the mouth of the Washford River. By 1587, the Wyndham estate had established a fulling and grist mill to the southwest. By 1652, the mill had started to produce paper. In 1846, business partners James Tate, William Peach and John Wandsborough bought the business and introduced mechanized production using a water-wheel-powered pulley system. In the 1860s, the factory was converted to steam power, and the local harbour was used to import raw materials and export finished goods. Most of the mill was was destroyed by fire in 1889, but it was rebuilt and less than 10 years later 5 paper-making machines were operating. The mill became the largest manufacturer of paper bags in the UK. In 1896, the business became the Washford Paper Company, a limited liability company, and is now known as the Washford Paper Mill. With an annual capacity of 180,000 tons of product and employing 100 people, it is the UK's largest manufacturer of cardboard, and also produces container board, recycled envelope, bag and craft papers. In December 2015, the paper mill ceased production and closed. Harbour Watchet developed as a town thanks to its closeness to the minerals within the Brendan Hills, and its access to the River Severn for onward shipping. Aside from a local ships plying trade across the river, from 1564 onwards the port was used for import of salt and wine from France. In 1643, during the English Civil War, a royalist ship was sent to Watchet to reinforce from the siege of Dunster Castle. Parliamentarian Captain Popham ordered his troops into the sea with the tide on the ebb, and with the ship unable to move, attacked the ship with fire from their carbines. Taken by surprise and under heavy attack, the royalist commander surrendered the ship, resulting in a ship technically at sea being captured by troops on horseback. The primitive jetty was damaged in a storm of 1659, so that in 1708 lading local wool merchant Sir William Wyndham built a new harbour costing £1,000, with a stronger pier. The main export at this time was kelp, made by burning seaweed for use in glass making. In the 19th century, trade increased with the export of iron ore from the Brendan Hills, mainly to Newport for onward transportation to the Ebbw Vale. Steelworks, paper, flour and gypsum. In 1843 the Esplanade was built by George Wyndham, 4th Earl of Egremont, and in 1855 a new harbour was commissioned to cope with increased iron ore trade. A new East Pier and Wharf was completed in 1861–62 by James Abernethy. This allowed shipping movement to reach a peak, with over 1,100 ship movements per annum. Harbour trade was aided by the coming of the railway, with 2 independent railways terminating at Watchet from the mid-1860s. The West Somerset Mineral Railway ran down from the iron mines on the Brendan Hills, and the West Somerset Railway came up from the Bristol and Exeter Railway at Norton Fitzwarren. At the peak in the trade during the late 19th century, 40,000 tons of ore were exported annually. In 1862, the cast-iron Watchet Harbour Lighthouse was built by Hennet, Spinks and Earls of Bridgwater. In September 2012, Princess Anne unveiled a plaque to celebrate the 150th anniversary of the lighthouse. The mines and West Somerset Mineral Railway closed in 1898. The West Somerset Railway, extended from Watchet to Minehead in 1874, survived as part of British Rail until 1971. Reopened as a heritage railway, it still operates today. In 1900 and 1903 a series of gales breached the breakwater and East Pier, with the loss of several vessels each time and subsequent repairs. After World War I, the Cardiff Scrap and Salvage Company Limited took a lease on part of the harbour, from 1920 to 1923. In autumn 1923, the company scrapped the second-class protected cruiser HMS Fox of the Astraea class of the Royal Navy, which at 320 feet is still the largest vessel still ever to enter the harbour. Before World War II, a gunnery range was established for various army units to practice anti-aircraft gunnery out of sight between Watchet and Doniford. Unmanned target aircraft were towed by planes from RAF Western Zoyland and later were fired from catapults over the sea. Little of the camp buildings survive, and it is now the site of a holiday park. The port remained open to service the paper mills, importing wood pulp and esparto grass from Russia and Scandinavia, using mainly East European registered vessels after World War II, requiring a return load. The result was that Watchet became a leading UK port for the export of car parts, tractors and other industrial goods. However, with the replacement of coal with oil from the mid-1960s, the port traffic began to terminally decline. The harbour was in commercial use until 2000. The harbour has now been converted into a marina for pleasure boats. It is surrounded by renovated quaysides and narrow streets. The commercial esplanade has been refurbished with new shelters, information points, and the provision of new paving in some areas, as well as railings, lamps, curved benches, planters and new tree plantings. There are several museums in the town, including the Market House Museum, which explores the history of the town and its harbour. The building was constructed in 1820 on the site of the previous market house, which had been demolished in 1805. It was converted into a museum in 1979. It houses a collection of exhibits about the natural history of Watchet and the surrounding area. The focus is on nautical and maritime history of the port. Artifacts include those relating to archaeology, coins and medals, land transport, maritime, natural sciences, science and technology, and social history. At the rear of the museum building is the Old Town lock-up for the temporary detention of people, often drunks, who were usually released the next day to hold people being brought before the local magistrate. The Watchet Boat Museum, which is housed in the 1862 Victorian architecture former railway goods shed, displays the unusual local flatner boats and associated artifacts. Lifeboat. The Royal National Lifeboat Institution stationed a lifeboat at Watchet in 1875. The station was closed in 1944, by which time the nearby station at Minehead had been equipped with a motor lifeboat that could cover the area around Watchet. The boat was launched from the slipway at the western corner of the harbour, but the boathouse was at the southern corner near the railway station, and the boat was taken along the quay on a carriage. Since closure, the boathouse has been converted into a library. Governance. The civil parish of Watchet is governed by a town council, having previously been Watchet Urban District. Administratively, the civil parish falls within the West Somerset Local Government District and the Somersetshire County. Administrative tasks are shared between county, district and town councils. In 2011, the parish had a population of 3,785. Watchet forms part of the Bridgwater and West Somerset County constituency represented in the House of Commons of the Parliament of the United Kingdom. It elects one Member of Parliament by the first-past-the-post system of election. The current MP is Ian Littlegranger, a member of the Conservatives. Residents of Watchet also form part of the electorate for the South West England constituency for elections to the European Parliament. Geography. The foreshore at Watchet is rocky, with a high 6 meters tidal range. The cliffs between Watchet and Blue Anchor show a distinct pale, greenish-blue color, resulting from the colored alabaster found there. The name Watchet, or Watchet Blue, was used in the 16th century to denote this color. A fragment of a lower jaw from a Phytus or Longerostrine has been described from early Hatthangian strata. Kentsford Bridge is a pack-horse bridge over the Washford River. It existed before the Reformation, possibly being a route to Cleeve Abbey, and was repaired in 1613. The bridge is 54 inches wide and has a total span of 16 feet. Culture. Samuel Taylor Coleridge's poem The Rime of the Ancient Mariner was written whilst travelling through Watchet and the surrounding area. He lived at Coleridge Cottage in Nether Stowey, and while living there he wrote this Lime Tree Bower My Prison, part of Christabel, Frost at Midnight and The Rime of the Ancient Mariner. Local traditions include Lantern Night, which was held on the 16th of September and involved children in the town with candle lanterns made from hollowed-out root vegetables such as mangel wurzel, or swede. It was the last remaining reminder of the Watchet Fair. Transport. Adjacent to the harbour is Watchet Station. This is now an intermediate stop on the West Somerset Railway, a largely steam-operated heritage railway that links Bishop's Lydeard, near Taunton, with Minehead. The station was first opened on the 31st of March 1862 when the West Somerset Railway was opened from Norton Junction. The station was built as a terminus. As part of the commercial aim of the WSR was to provide a wider and cheaper distribution route for goods from the then major port of Watchet. On the 16th of July 1874 the line was extended westwards by the Minehead Railway Company, with an industrial railway siding provided at the same time into the Wandsborough paper mill. The GWR undertook many projects to increase the capacity of the line in the 1930s. Nationalisation in 1948 saw the GWR become the western region of British Railways. Freight traffic was withdrawn on the 6th of July 1964 and passenger trains on the 4th of January 1971. The station was reopened by the new West Somerset Railway on 28 August 1976. The harbour was also linked to the independent West Somerset Mineral Railway, that ran to iron ore mines in the Brendon Hills southwest of the town. From Watchet the ore was carried across the Bristol Channel by ship to Newport and thence to Ebbw Vale for smelting to extract the iron. The line was ready for traffic from Watchet to Roadwater by April 1857, although the outward terminal of the line was to be the quay at Watchet. The pier had been practically unusable for some considerable time, and boats were beached and loaded direct from carts brought onto the foreshore. After considerable public pressure, the Watchet Harbour Act was passed in 1857, placing it under the control of commissioners. They built a new East Pier and rebuilt the West Pier. The work was finished in 1862, and 500-ton vessels could enter the harbour. Passenger services were also provided from Watchet. However, these were not financially successful, and with the declining output from the iron ore mines the line closed in 1898. IY briefly reopened. In the early 20th century, the trackbed of the old West Somerset Mineral Railway now forms a path which can be followed from the harbour at Watchet to Washford Station. Also on the West Somerset Railway. Education. The Knights Templar Church of England Methodist Community School in Liddymoor Road was built in 1990. It takes its name from the land on which it was built, which was owned by the Knights Templar. Middle and upper schools are available in Willerton and Minehead, including the West Somerset Community College, which provides education for 1298 students between the ages of 13 and 18. Religious sites. The Anglican St. Decuman's Church is probably on an ancient pre-Christian site on a hilltop between Watchet and Willerton. An earlier church was situated by the sea at Dawes Castle but was abandoned because of sea erosion. When the church was rebuilt in the 12th century, it appears that the bones of St. Decuman were moved. The chancel of the present church is unusually wide and may have housed the tomb of St. Decuman. The translation of St. Decuman used to be celebrated The 15th century, grey dye-listed Church of St. Decuman is dedicated to him. The Norman church was rebuilt in the 15th and 16th centuries when the central tower was demolished and the present one built at the west end. It was restored and reseated by James Piers St. Alban in 1886 to 1891, with further internal alterations being made in 1896 when the gonstone reredos was erected. The church was described by Francis Carolus Eales in 1932. He highlighted a fine geometrical east window with original tracery dating from the end of the 13th century and the perpendicular window tracery in the south aisle. The series of wagon roofs with rich carving are above the rood screen in nave and south aisle. The Wyndham Chapel occupies the east end of the north aisle and is dedicated to the Wyndham family of nearby Orchard Wyndham House, former lords of the manor. Included is a memorial to Sir John Wyndham, who played an important role in the establishment of defence organisation in the West Country against the threat of the Spanish Armada. Next to his monument is one to his parents, and the chest tomb of his grandparents with monumental brasses serves to separate the chapel from the chancel. A mural monument exists with kneeling effigies of two of Sir John's sons, Henry and George, as well as other monuments to the later family of Wyndham. The organ was presented to the church in 1933 by W. Wyndham. St. Decuman's Well is below the church. It is a 19th-century reconstruction of the earlier well on the site, which dates from the Middle Ages. In addition to the Church of St. Decuman, there is also a Methodist church in Watchet. It was built as a Wesleyan chapel in 1871. The Baptist church was built in 1824. Cleve Abbey, one of the best preserved medieval monasteries in England, lies about 2 miles west of Watchet, in the village of Washford. Bibliography. Adkins, Leslie Adkins, Roy. A Field Guide to Somerset Archaeology. Wimborne, Dorset. Dovecote Press. ISBN 9780946159949. Aston, Michael. Ian Burrow, ed. The Archaeology of Somerset. ISBN 9780861830282. Berryman, David. Somerset Airfields in the Second World War. Newbury. Countryside Books. ISBN 1853068640. Body, Jeff Gallop, Roy. Any Muddy Bottom, A History of Somerset's Waterborne Trade. History Press. ISBN 9780750961639. Carter, E. An Historical Geography of the Railways of the British Isles. Castle, Fart Graham. Somerset Harbours. Christopher Johnson. Fart Graham. Ships and Harbours of Exmoor. Exmoor Press. ISBN 9780900131158. Leet Hodge, Lorne. Curiosities of Somerset. Bodmin, Bossony Books. ISBN 9780906456996. Mitchell, Vic. Smith, Keith. Branch Line to Minehead. Preservation Perfection. Middleton Press. ISBN 9780906520802. Norman, W. H. Legends and Folklore of Watchet. W. H. Norman. ISBN 9780951084212. Oakley, Mike. Somerset Railway Stations. Dovecote Press. ISBN 9781904349099. Thomas, David St. John. Regional History of the Railways of Great Britain, the West Country v. 1. David and Amp, Charles. Waite, Vincent. Portrait of the Quantocks. London, Robert Hale. ISBN 9780709111580.